Eminem just told Vivek Ramaswamy that he couldn't use his songs in his campaign anymore. Vivek is a rising star in the Republican primaries. He's a super controversial guy. He's claimed that other Republicans are bought and paid for, and that some Democrats are akin to the modern KKK. He came on stage at the Iowa State Fair rapping to Eminem's song Lose Yourself. So Eminem's record label sent him a cease and desist order. After receiving the cease and desist, he's no longer allowed to use Eminem's music anytime on the campaign trail. Vivek's team responded to this saying, "To the American people's chagrin, we will have to leave the rapping to the real Slim Shady." 2 adults and 2 children were found dead in an apartment in the Upper West Side of New York. The victims were all members of the same family. Officials didn't specify whether or not the murders were being investigated as a murder-suicide by someone in the family. This tragedy comes amid a widespread perception that crime has been rising in New York City and in other big cities across the country. The New York Times reports that surges in robbery, burglary, and other crimes drove a 22% increase in overall major crime in New York City last year compared with the year prior, despite a significant drop in shootings and murders. To this point, Republicans argue that the crime spike has come from insufficient prosecution of criminals in these big cities, while Democrats, on the other hand, argue that this crime spike is overblown and that violent crime is down in many cases. Republicans respond to that with, well, even though there are fewer shootings, there are more violent felony assaults and crime seems more random. To which Democrats say that a lot of that crime can be attributable to a lack of good resources and treatment centers for people who are addicted to drugs or the homeless. We now know that Trump will face trial before the election in 2024. Trump, worried to get the maximum sentence on all of the charges, could be facing up to 641 years in prison. Obviously, it seems kind of unlikely that even if he were convicted, he would be given the maximum sentence. But a federal judge did just set a trial date of March 4th for Trump on the charges that he conspired to overturn the 2020 election. So this is the case that Jack Smith is bringing against Trump, that Trump violated civil rights law by attempting to subvert the people's vote. Republicans argue that the judge in this case, Judge Tanya S. Chutkin, who's an Obama appointee, and they say is biased against Trump. Democrats, on the other hand, argue that Judge Chutkin has an incredible record and is widely respected. They also say that she's already ruled in favor of Trump on many procedural issues, and so it shows that she doesn't have a bias. Did laser weapons cause the wildfires in Maui? No. Obviously not. PolitiFact, the estimable fact-checking organization, tweeted out, "There is no evidence of laser weapons used in the Maui forest fires, nor reports of turning the site into a tech city." Thank you, PolitiFact, for that one. We can look forward to tomorrow's PolitiFact tweet when they tweet out that the Earth actually has curves. The Air Force now has an AI-controlled Valkyrie aircraft. It uses artificial intelligence to identify and evaluate enemy threats, and then after getting human sign-off, to eliminate them. I just picture some 21-year-old kid in the military just TikTok in one hand and just spamming the kill button in the other. I'm not sure the world is desperately in need of a less human way for one person to kill another person. Is anti-wokeism falling out of fashion? In the first Republican primary debate, the word woke was only mentioned once. But politicians like Ron DeSantis rose to prominence by fighting against the quote-unquote woke brigade. Now, polls are showing that being anti-woke doesn't carry as much political weight. But it's also possible that candidates are just shying away from the word because they think it's overused. DeSantis wrote in a fundraising message just this week that he's seeing radical ideology brimming with hate and guilt shoved down the throats of children from their earliest days of school. Democrats, on the other hand, argue that critical race theory is not a part of school curriculums and that DeSantis is fighting a made-up battle. Republicans are responding to this by saying that even if it's not in the curriculum, the laws are there to stop rogue teachers from teaching it anyway. To which Democrats say the job of teaching is already hard enough. All that these laws do is make that job more difficult for teachers, and teachers feel like they're walking on eggshells. What do you guys think about this one? Leave your answers in the comments. The Trump Organization installed a distinctive clock on Fifth Avenue in New York without applying for a permit or paying a fee. Do you think Trump gives a shit? Trump is facing 641 years in prison potentially. He just had to pay $5 million to E. Jean Carroll over a lawsuit. I'm surprised this story even made the news. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This has been Mealtime News.